I said one sentence to my ex-wife when we signed our divorce papers, and now her new fiancé blames me for the wedding falling apart. We were together 19 years, the kind of marriage other couples asked us about. How'd you make it last? What's your secret? She was my whole world, and I honestly believed I was hers. Every morning started with coffee she'd already poured for me. Every night ended with her reading beside me, nudging me when I dozed off before the chapter finished. Then, about 2 years ago, it all changed. Not slowly, like a switch flipped. The coffee stopped appearing. The goodnight readings stopped. She stopped suggesting weekend trips, and when I proposed one, there was always a reason. Too busy, too tired, maybe next month. The easy closeness turned into two people in the same house barely touching. She stopped texting me during the day like she had for over a decade. Stopped saying love you on her way out the door. I knew what it meant. Somewhere deep down I knew, but I didn't want to be the paranoid husband hurling accusations. So I waited and watched and hoped I was wrong. 2 months of that quiet dread. Then one evening she sat me down and said the words that ended everything. I've met someone. I want a divorce. He was younger, established, the kind of guy who wore success like cologne. I was just me, a teacher, comfortable, ordinary. The math wasn't hard. I was gutted, but I made a decision right there. I would never beg anyone to love me, not even her, especially not her. She moved out within a week. He was in the picture almost immediately. The divorce itself was straightforward. We'd always kept our finances fair and simple, so there was nothing to fight over. Just the paperwork ending us. The final signing was a couple of weeks ago. During the separation, I'd barely seen her, and the few times I did, I couldn't make myself look at her. Our daughter mentioned that her mom had noticed, said it bothered her that I wouldn't meet her eyes anymore. I was surprised she even came to the office for the signing. I figured she'd send it through her lawyer, but there she was, across the table. I signed. My hand was steady. And then, for the first time in 2 years, I looked directly at her. She was smiling, relieved, I think, that I finally seemed okay enough to acknowledge her. Like everything could be civil now that it was over. And I don't know what came over me. I'd been so careful, so dignified through the whole thing, but something in me let go. I smiled back and said, you just walked away from the last person who was ever going to love you for exactly who you are. Not for what he earns, not for what he can give you. Just you. Her smile faltered. Confusion, then something that looked a lot like fear. I picked up my bag and left before she could answer. The next morning I woke to a wall of texts from her fiancé. Paragraphs about how bitter I am, how I couldn't handle her being happy, how pathetic I was to still be hung up on her. But here's what actually set him off. He'd apparently been planning to propose over the holidays. Big dinner, her whole family there, the entire production arranged, and she told him she wasn't ready. Wouldn't explain why. Just went quiet on the subject and shut the conversation down every time it came up. He was convinced my words at the signing had poisoned her, that I'd sabotaged them out of spite. I blocked him, but I kept turning it over. Did I wreck their relationship with one sentence? Part of me wondered. A bigger part didn't care. Because here's the thing I realized in that office, looking at her for the first time in 2 years. I felt nothing familiar. The woman I'd built a life with, the one who poured the coffee, who nudged me awake, wasn't sitting across from me. This was someone who could dismantle 19 years and be relieved when the paperwork was done. A few weeks later, my daughter told me her mom had asked how I was doing. Really asked. I just said, tell her I'm well, and I meant it. I don't think my sentence changed anything that wasn't already true. You can't talk someone out of a future they actually want. If one honest observation was enough to make her hesitate at the altar, then the hesitation was already there, sitting under everything, long before I said a word. I'm not angry anymore. I go on my own weekend trips now. I read beside my own quiet window at night and finish every chapter. The woman I married didn't leave me at that signing. She left 2 years ago, the night she decided I wasn't enough. What sat across the table from me was just the paperwork catching up to a goodbye that had already happened, and for the first time in a long time, I walked out of that building lighter than I'd been in years.